Hey everyone, and welcome. You're listening to the next episode of Turn Zero Drive Home. This is a solo Marvel Snap podcast where I talk about all the latest info you need before you start the first turn of a game while I drive home from work. I'm your host, August, and let's drive home. Okay guys, so for today I wanted to do something a little different. I didn't want to talk about new cards coming up or any new cards right now. I'm going to talk about our currency in Marvel Snap, our resources, our tokens, our credits, our gold, and I wanted to kind of look over exactly what we get when we're playing, week to week, right? Because there's a lot of questions out there about, is this game too expensive, right? Like, is it possible to, stay collection complete if you're only free to play? Is it possible to get the cards you want, right? Like, is this the kind of game that you need to be spending a lot of money to be relevant in, right? This is coming up a lot. I see it all the time on Reddit. I see it all the time on Discord. It's coming up especially more now because of the last couple seasons. If you've been playing the last couple seasons, then you know that both the season pass cards for January and February, Shao-Lao and Star-Lord, were pretty overbearing. In fact, they still are like a major force in the metagame today. And so a lot of people are feeling the squeeze, right? They're feeling, you can't keep up. The new cards are just too powerful and there's no point, right? So I wanted to break down the basically, the nitty gritty, right? I wanted to get into where are all our credits coming from, where's all our tokens coming from, like, can we scrape together enough every month to stay competitive, right? Like, we're going to break it down. I'm going to have a bunch of slides as well to help out, thankfully. So if you're a visual learner like myself, you're gonna see that. And if you just like hearing me blab on, I'll explain what I got going on there, right? The big question I wanted to look at is like this misconception of that we only get 3,000 tokens a week, right? If that was true, if 3,000 was the exact amount that we got every week, then I think that it would be tough to stay anywhere near complete anything. You would need at least 2 weeks of playing to be able to get a Series 5 pack. You'd be behind basically everybody that's getting multiple cards a week just from paying, right? So let's look at everything and see, and then come back to that question, come back to that misconception, see if it's actually true or not. All right, so we're going to look at everything from a lens of free-to-play just to start. There is going to be a section afterwards, after I've done breaking stuff down, to show like what, kind of paying the main bundles gets you. Everyone really talks about how the best bang for your buck in Marvel Snap is the Season Pass. So we're going to take a look at what that actually gets you in a little bit. But let's start with just free-to-play, right? So with your credits, every week, free to play, if you're getting every credit that I'm about to lay out here, doing what I'm calling your daily chores, you will have 6,375 credits every week. We're looking at, and then so that means that combined with some totals that you get only once per season, every season you will be getting a total of 30,650 credits. And then if it's a 5-week season, it's slightly more. It's 37,225. All right, so there's a couple ways to do this, right? Like, that's a big number, and it's like, wow, do we really get that much? Like, yeah, let's kind of break down and see like what it is we get. I'm calling this section your daily chores. These are just like the things that the Marvel Snap wants you to do. Mobile games like this, they want you to log in every day. They want you to log in multiple times a day as well, not just to play the game, but the idea is that if you are in the game more often, then you'll be more willing to engage with the app, engage with the shop, and buy things, right? Since we're looking just free to play, I want to see what they're giving us for that engagement, right? So there's an 8-hour login. Every 8 hours you log in, you click the button, you get 25 credits. So you do that 7 days a week. That's 525 just by the end of the week there, right? 4 weeks in a season, 2,100. You can see that that's like a little bit of a build up there. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at it, the total for the season, you're going to see that these are all going to kind of add up, and these small amounts are going to add up into bigger chunks. Not only is there a login for the game, but there's a login for the web store. So Marvel Snap, if you aren't aware, I'm sure you are, but anyway, for completionist sake, let's go over it. The Marvel Snap web shop has a 100 credit login bonus. So every day, they want you not just to log into the game, but go online and log into the web shop as well. This will get you 100 credits every day, 7 days a week, 4 seasons. That is 2,800 credits just sitting there, right? That chunk combined with our 8-hour login is starting to sound more substantial, right? Where the idea is not to leave credits on the table. So even though it's like, oh, August, like you're encouraging me to, have this habit of where I log into the game multiple times, do what's right for you. I'm just trying to give you the whole number so that you can evaluate for yourself whether it's worth it or not, right? I know myself do not get the 100 every day, right? Like I don't remember to do it. I just can't be bothered, right? I don't believe I get this 25 every 8 hours either. It just depends on like when I wake up and stuff, right? Do not feel the pressure because of me, because of what I'm telling you. If you feel the pressure from your own doing, recognize that, right? Okay. So the last daily chore is the daily missions, right? Like they're very explicit. Like, when you log into the game, every 8 hours, you have 2 missions that refresh. You get a 100 credit mission and a 50 credit mission. So together that's 450 every 8 hours, 7 days a week, 4 weeks a season, blah, blah, blah. That is a total of 12,600 credits just from that every month. So then when we take the 3 sets of chores, the logins and the missions, we're looking at a total of 17,500 credits just from daily activity every season. That's a lot right there. That number is huge. Now that we're starting to talk about, the sums, you can see that the numbers really add up. And that's just the stuff they want you to do every day. There's more stuff that we can talk about. So there's weekly chores as well. When you do your daily missions, there's a little bar at the top called the weekly challenge, and that increases as you do missions, right? There's a milestone for 5 missions done, 10, 15, 20, 25, right? And so each of those will give you credits as well, a total of 1,350 of them. So if you do that every week, you're looking at 5,400 credits. And then the weekly bonus mission itself, right? Every weekend we get missions dependent for the weekend, right? Like the credit one is generally stuff that's just like, oh, play 10 on reveals, play some ongoing cards, play destroy something. Like they're very basic because they want everybody to be able to do them, and that's 150 credits right there. So that's another 600. The biggest chunk from your weekly stuff after the challenge is going to be the alliance rewards. If you are not in an alliance, you're looking to maximize the amount of credits you get, you need to find one now. Not only are they re-adding back the premium mystery variants to the alliance rewards, but through the whole time that there was this kind of upset about the rewards, it still stayed consistent of there being 500 credits every week. So 500 credits a week is 2,000 credits just from being in alliance and doing those missions. 200 of it comes from like you doing your track, while 300 of it comes from your whole alliance doing it. So it's better to be in an alliance that is active than not, but it is still better to be in an alliance that's not active than to not be one at all. That would bring our weekly chores total to about 8,000 credits a week. And now there's the section of once per season. So stuff that happens every season that you can collect at any time, provided you accomplish the goals. They're not something that resets weekly like the other stuff, but it's rather stuff that you can do once, like the season pass. The season pass has different levels, and every level you get a different reward. There's a bunch of them that give credits, and this is a track that's there every season, whether you pay for the pass or not, right? Like if you don't pay for the pass, you're going to find some of these levels have a little lock symbol on them. That means you can't get those rewards unless you pay for it. But if we're talking just free to play, there's actually 2,300 credits that are free in the season pass. So that's a pretty big number there. There's the ranked rewards. So, before you hit infinite, your pre-infinite ranks, at rank 10, 30, 50, and 70, there's credits there, which would be a total of 1,350. Conquest, a mode that we have certainly not forgotten, even though it seems like Second Dinner has. There is a lowly, all by itself, 150 credit option to buy that you can get that when you play Conquest. I know we're really getting into the small numbers here, but the point is to try and see every option, right? What's better is the limited time game modes. We're pretty accustomed to about 2 a season. I've done a whole thing where I've looked at them like from the history of game modes and tried to look at all the different currencies we were getting then. That's going to be like its own separate video because there's a lot to break into there. But suffice it to say, if you just look at the 2 modes that we had this month, you can see they both offer 675 credits each, just from their reward pass and their shop. So all in all, once per season, if you count all that stuff up, that's another 5,150 credits, making your total for just free to play. Like we're not even talking about any purchases. Free to play tokens for a whole season is 30,650. Okay, I'm shooting out a lot of numbers at everybody. I understand that. I'm talking it and I'm saying number after number, and it's very dry. Hopefully the visuals that I have, done by future August over here is going to help keep our attention here. The idea is that we're going to need to use these credits to become tokens, right? Like we talk about these are our credits that are going to do this, and we haven't even talked about the collection track, right? Like the collection level that you have at the top of your game. That's where you're going to be spending these credits by upgrading your cards to move your track up to get to those, milestones where you get 3,000 tokens. Before we get into that, though, let's talk about tokens, right? So there are some tokens that we get outside of that, right? So if we think back to what we started earlier in the video here, we were talking about we only get 3,000 a week, right? So let's see what's actually happening here. There is along with the daily login for your credits, there is a daily login for tokens as well. It's not every 8 hours, it's just once. But once a day, you can log in and go into the shop and get 50 credits, which very small number. You can't get anything for 50 credits, right? Like it's like, going up and getting a penny, right? But, oh shoot, they don't even have pennies anymore. Wow, I'm old. Okay, so it's like getting a nickel, right? So basically the idea is that if you do that every day and every week, you're going to end up with 1,400 tokens just from that daily login, right? So now we're starting to get into an okay number, right? It's like, okay, 1,400, that's not nothing, right? That's basically half a Series 3 card, or Series 4 card rather, sorry. There's some weekly chores as well. If you're buying the new card, like if you're staying up to date, which is what the point of this video episode was to do, you have the weekend bonus, which is 200 tokens. You can think of that as a kind of, a sales rebate on the card, right? If you're buying it from the seasonal Series 5 pack, it costs 5,000 tokens, and then if you do the weekend mission, you get 200 back, so it's only going to cost you really around 4,800 tokens. Once per season, these limited game modes, they also have tokens in them. They have them in their event pass, not in the shop, so you can't really go into the event shop and kind of grind out tokens, but they do have it along their track, which would be about 250 each. So when we're looking at about 500 tokens from there, 800 tokens from doing your weekly stuff. So you're starting to see like a number pop up, right? Like you're getting quite a bit of tokens here. That's actually going to be about, it looks like 2,700 tokens in a season. There's also some extra tokens that we can pick up. Those game modes also have event passes. We haven't talked about those yet, but basically if you spend 800 gold to unlock the premium side of the pass, there's some extra goodies in there, including 250 tokens. So for 2 modes, that's 500, right? Okay, so we talked about credits. We talked about tokens. Let's talk about cards, right? So this is the main thing that we want to talk about here. Is like we're trying to answer the question of how many cards can we actually get, right? To do that, we got to look at the collection track, the levels that you have there. In that, every couple levels, there's also just 50 credits sitting there, so that you could collect. Sorry. Every 10 like kind of milestones is 3,000 tokens, and in between there's 10 groups of 50 credits rather, so it's 500. And then there's also the caches themselves, like the reserves. Now these guys are kind of wonky. They're mostly based on odds, so it's hard to exactly tell you how many credits you're going to get out of them. But in every group of 9, so again, we're looking at they're not going to be exact, but they do kind of fit within, your levels of where you have 3,000 and 3,000 tokens. So if you think of every 9 there, about 3 of them should be credit caches. Those will have a 50-50 chance of either giving you 150 or 200 credits. And then one of them will be a token cache, which is just a 100% chance of 100 tokens. So let's put that on the back burner for a second, because we're going to come back to those totals. But now we're going to look at cards. Right, so we want that 3,000 tokens as much as we can get it. If you're collecting those credits as you're going up the track, it means that you need 6,000 credits to equal the 3,000 tokens. Right, so every 6,000 credits that you spend through upgrading your cards will get you to that next milestone. If you're using the credits that, just pop up on the track, it actually means you only need 5,500. With that, if we take our season total, so we go all the way back to the beginning, we take our season total of, about 30,650, that means we're going to be able to do that 5 times. So you're going to have 15,000 tokens just from that. What's left over is that you're left over with about 3,150 credits to get to the next level. So how do we get that? Like, how do we're so close to that 6th milestone there. Well, we open up those caches that we have along the way, right? So every group of 9, we should have 5 groups of 9. So we're going to be able to get a number of credits just from that. And I'll have that, popping up on the screen here, right? So that means that we'll be able to actually get 6 of these milestones, 6 of where these 3,000 tokens are sitting, giving us 18,000 tokens. Now let's combine that with the 600 tokens that we get from the caches, and then the 2,700 tokens that we got free to play just from playing the season. That gives us 21,300 tokens. Now that is a lot more than 3,000 a week, right? If we were thinking 3,000 a week, we'd only be at about 1,200. We're basically double that, right? So now that we know that what we're working with here, let's break that down. Like, what are we getting from that, right? What's the exciting part here? It's the cards. My personal thing here is that if you're trying to stay collection complete, you're going to be emptying out the packs, right? Like, so if you can go into the shop right now and you can get, you have the rotating pick for your card, and it's going to cost, if we're looking at the Series 5 cards, it's going to cost 6,000. That's basically full price. Packs will give you everything at a little bit cheaper. It's going to be 5,000 for the seasonal Series 5 packs. If you have no cards in there at the beginning of a season, cards get drip fed into the pack as they're released, right? This means that as long as you have the tokens to buy it, you can continue to empty out the pack and guarantee you're getting what you're getting at a discount. So, for example, this season started with Juggernaut, Horseman of War. If that was the only card in your series pack, then instead of spending 6,000 for it in the token shop, you can spend 5,000 for it and get it cheaper, right? So if we do that with the 21,000 tokens we have, we're actually able to get 4 new cards. which is the same number of weeks in a season, right? Okay, so you can get every card in a season that comes out weekly and have 1,300 tokens left over. Isn't that crazy? Because here we went from thinking, oh, you can only get one card every 2 weeks, to you can actually afford to get every card every week. Now, there are caveats here, right? I'm not going to pretend that it's like perfect, right? You have to have an empty series pack. If your seasonal pack has cards in it from the previous season, then you're going to have to spend to get those as well, right? Like, they're not going to be guaranteed hits every time. If you want guaranteed card, you're going to have to spend a little bit more. It also means that the other problem is that there's a super premium card. We haven't talked a lot about the season pass, right? Because we were trying to talk free to play. But the super premium card gets added to the season at the beginning of the season, right? It gets added to the pack. So on the first week, there wasn't just Juggernaut. There was also Iska, the Unbeaten, right? So what does that mean? That means if you're free to play, there's going to be an extra card there. So if every 4 week season, there's going to be 5, right? So you can't actually afford 5. But if you buy the super premium pass, you get that card before you even open the packs. And it also gives you, like, the buying the super premium pass also gives you a collector's series 5 pack. So if you're still trying to catch up, there's a way there. If you just get it so that you can get 4,000 extra tokens, that's going to help your reserve as well, right? So all in all, we can look at this and we can see that it is possible. Is it possible to stay collection complete free to play? No, but you get very close. So close that if you're just looking to buy one thing and it's just the super premium pass, then you can actually stay collection complete, when you're doing this. There's a lot more that I could have talked about, right? I didn't even talk about the season caches. So every level after 50, there's credits and gold in there. I didn't talk about gold, right? Like I can show you some visuals here, but gold is something that we don't get as much of free to play anymore. But the amount that you get per season of a gold, just coincidentally, is 1,600. And what does 1,600 free to play gold get you? Well, that gets you 2 of the event passes, right? So maybe that's a good use of this. There's a lot that you can do to kind of maximize your spending. And by spending, I mean spending the in-game currency. You can play this game completely free to play, provided that you have your series pack bought out. Now, what if you can't do that, right? You're playing week to week, right? You're not going to be able to buy every series pass card, or you didn't start the game, a couple months and years ago. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means that you could buy 3, series 5 cards at 6,000 tokens and still have 3,300 left over at the end of the month. That means that you can be picking the cards you want specifically and getting 3 cards out of it, and even a series 4 card out of it. Or you can just save that for the next month and get an extra series 5 card. There's still available options for you to keep up. The spending that's there means that you're not only getting 2 cards a month. That's a misconception we can put to bed completely. And what does that mean for you as a player? Does this new information help you with your planning? I'm going to have some visuals that can help kind of keep you in track of like what you're looking for. Let me know in the comments below if we want to follow up to this episode. Is there more questions that you had? Like, what about the gold? What could we be using that for? Is there more things that I can be buying? What are the bundles are like, right? We didn't even talk about bundles. And so, like, can you use that to accelerate your collection? You definitely can. So this is going to be kind of a bit of a doozy episode, a lot of math, a lot of numbers. So we're going to end it here. But if there's more that you want to hear from, please let me know, and I'll get another episode out. Okay, thanks.